Welcome, friends. Welcome back to the kitchen. Welcome back to Sunday morning and the old cookbook show. Today we're going to do a recipe out of this 1910 cookbook called Picayune's Creole Cookbook. This was published in New Orleans, Louisiana, by the Daily Picayune newspaper, and it's filled with a lot of very interesting recipes. And the recipe that I want to do today is called shrimp jambalaya. Now, it is from the rice section, Louisiana rice section. There's a number of different jambalaya dishes with various different types of seafood or sausage. This one is just shrimp, and it talks about rice in Louisiana. And so we're going to use this rice grown in Louisiana called popcorn rice. I've had it before. It's got a very distinct flavor. I think it's going to be pretty good in this dish. So I've got a pot here. It's heating up. I'm going to put some butter in. And as the butter melts, I'm going to put in a couple of chopped onions. It's a bit of a difficult recipe because there's an ingredient list and then there's a method, like you would recognize from most recipes. There are ingredients in the method that aren't mentioned in the ingredient list. And there are ingredients in the ingredient list that aren't mentioned in the method. Which, there are some things you just know when you're supposed to put them in, or that you're supposed to put them in, like the salt and pepper. But it also lists cayenne as a possible ingredient. And it doesn't talk anything about cayenne going into the recipe. It talks about broth in the method, but not in the ingredient list. And it also says that for the broth, if you're making this on Friday, and you don't eat meat on Fridays, which a lot of people at this time in Louisiana didn't eat meat on Fridays, use oyster liquor rather than chicken broth, or just plain water. Now the onion has softened and is starting to brown, so I'm supposed to stir in some flour. I'm going to mind the heat because I don't want anything to burn here. And there's a really good chance of some of this burning. Also supposed to put in some thyme, so I'll get that in. A couple of bay leaves. As soon as you put the thyme in, it smells incredible. And really watch your temperature. Watch it very closely because it's getting pretty dry in the bottom of that pan. Next I'm supposed to put in some garlic, so I'm going to squeeze in some garlic, and this is garlic that we grew this summer. Super flavorful. There's a lot going on with this garlic, so I'm going to put that in. Now I'm supposed to put in some chili powder and 3 chopped tomatoes. There we go. This is the point where I'm going to add the salt and pepper. So I'm going to put a pinch of cayenne in at this point. Not too much. Just a pinch. And now I put in the broth and we bring that to a boil. Which brings us to the shrimp. As was common in this time period, if you were going to use shrimp in a recipe, if you're going to cook shrimp in a recipe, and the shrimp is going to go in here and cook for the length of time that it takes to cook the rice, so it says half an hour to 45 minutes. Anyway, you would always cook the shrimp before you cook the shrimp. Just like, you boiled vegetables for 40 minutes, or you cooked pasta for an hour. In this time period, you boiled the shrimp ahead of time, and then you recooked it. And I have to tell you, I've done that before for recipes on the old cookbook show, and it's not that bad. People get really worried about the shrimp becoming tough and rubbery and inedible and the texture being horrible. It's not that bad, actually, and in some cases it's pretty good. But today I just can't bring myself to do that. This is a very soupy end product rice dish I'm gathering by the ratio of liquid to rice. So I'm thinking I'm just going to dump the shrimp in here as soon as this comes up to a boil. and cook it along with the rice, and it'll be more than cooked at the end. And I've also found that pre-cook in the bouillon with the spices ahead of time often doesn't really carry over with the shrimp. If you're eating the shrimp on their own, it does carry over, but if you're putting the shrimp into something like this, which has a lot of other flavors going on, it gets lost anyway. Now, of course, I struggled with the size of pan to use here. Because I have another one of these braziers that's much bigger, but I thought it would be too big. And my worry was that it was too big and too shallow. Looking at this one, it's too small and not deep enough. I'm going to change to another pot. Nothing to see here, nothing to see here. Just an everyday occurrence in a kitchen. There we go. No one will ever know. In goes the shrimp and the rice. Okay, give that a stir, just mix it all together. And now I boil this for 3/4 of an hour, stirring occasionally. Lid off. Okay, get the bay leaves out. And we're ready to serve some jambalaya. Hey, Jules.
Hey, Glenn. Hey, friends. I feel like I've been waiting for this for a while.
It's been cooking for a week since we tasted those hermits.
I hope it's done.
So, it is shrimp jambalaya. Jambalaya au chevrette.
Ooh.
From the Picayune Creole Cookbook, New
Oh,
Orleans.
very good, very good. So, let's see. Did you call your relatives for some instructions before you started this one, or you just...
No, I just dove in and made it, and I'm sure that my cousins and distant aunties in Louisiana will have some comments about it. I really like this. This is really good. I mean, it's not...
It's quite sweet.
It is. The shrimps are making it really sweet. Fresh tomatoes, chopped up. That's adding some sweetness. The rice. This is rice from Louisiana. It's the popcorn rice from Louisiana. That could be adding to that flavor.
Yes,
like
someone kindly sent that to us. Very
Yes.
nice, thank you.
The whole thing is coming together really nicely. And one of the things that, obviously, I live in Toronto. When you go to a restaurant here to get Creole food, it's often very complicated, over the top, and heavily spiced. This is not any of those things.
This is
and
very
it's
comforting.
really nice. Yeah. Really nice. Okay. So if your family makes shrimp jambalaya, is it one of the contemporary recipes that often add sausages to it? Mm-hmm. Or other different spicing? Let us know down in the comments. And if my family in the South from Louisiana has anything to say about the recipe,
Some recommendations.
email me, and maybe, I can come down, stand in your kitchen and watch you make it.
But like anything, you can throw sausage in this. That'd be good.
It's not going to take long to eat that. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon. Chicken, did you want some shrimp?